I come back to that point. Not just in the Northeast, there are other communities in South India, for example. There are certain communities that follow matrilineal succession. The properties are inherited by the daughters and not by the sons. Will the Uniform Civil Code allow for such practices to continue, or will it clamp down on such practices and we have, common set of civil laws and a common set of civil practices when it comes to marriage, succession, adoption, etc.?
See, let me clarify this position to my understanding. According to me, the Uniform Civil Code is not going to hamper the practices which are not affecting the dignity of a woman. The Uniform Civil Code is going to affect those individuals or those communities where there is malpractice. For example, I think both the seniors and all the panelists who have spoken here, they have put up their point of view very, very nicely. And the point here is this, that we are in a legislative process and where we are talking about certain broad principles. Now, let me give you a world perspective on Uniform Civil Code. Let me tell you and let me give you the facts and figures. In 112 countries, Zaka, polygamy is banned. Out of that, there are so many Muslim countries where polygamy is banned. Then, so far as female genital mutilation is concerned, 200 million girls are affected by female genital mutilation. Around 1.4 million US dollar is spent every year so far as the diseases which arise out of female genital mutilation are concerned. So far as child marriage prohibition is concerned, let me tell you, Zaka, if India does this, India will be the first country in the world to abolish child marriage. So far as uniformity is concerned with the aspect of uniformity. So I am telling you that please, when we are debating upon Uniform Civil Code, we have to keep in mind the basic grand norm that we are talking about the dignity of a woman. We are talking about equal rights of a woman, and whichever community, whichever personal law is hampering those aspects, we are going to debate upon it. There is no question of having a draft as of now.
So
we are debating as to what
Tanveer
is the
Ahmed Mir,
practices which are there in various
one of
communities.
the arguments has been put forth is whenever, let's say, Indian Muslims migrate to the US or UK, and this is the Western liberal democracy ideal, right? That just because you happen to be from A religion or B religion, it doesn't mean that you don't have one civil law. In the US, all citizens of that country have one civil law. In the UK, all citizens of the UK have one civil law. So if Indians who migrate to those countries are okay with living with one civil law in those countries, then why are you opposed to one civil law here in India?
Well, it's an important question. You see, somebody migrating from here, irrespective of, and let me tell you, Zaka, you see, the Uniform Civil Code debate, unfortunately, is always projected in a manner that as if, it's only the Islamic community in India which has a problem with it. And that's not a fact. When you are migrating to a different jurisdiction, you obviously, stay there in terms of laws there. Now, I'll tell you two countries which are, Islamic dominant, which have implemented, in terms of restriction on absolute restriction on polygamy, means that you can only have one wife or one marriage or one spouse, is Turkey and Tunisia. In other Islamic countries, you can still have polygamy, but with certain restrictions. Now, in a constitutional democracy where you have a written constitution, in terms of rights of the citizens which flow from, the rights of practicing your religious belief with an element of freedom, means that those religious beliefs are to be tested in terms of not on scientific logic, certainly not on discriminatory practices. And that's why it's upon introspection of the communities themselves that, see, even in India, what is the percentage polygamy is made more a political issue than a real issue on ground reality. Now, even amongst the Muslim community, the problem of polygamy is not more than 1%. And out of that 1%, if you do a real data analysis, you will find that people from other religions, suddenly adopt a Muslim name in order to have another spouse. So the reality is not so threatening that that some person will get overwhelmed. But that doesn't mean that there should not be a gender reform. And let me tell you,
So-
when you talk about uniformity, we'll still have great problems, in majority community. When you go to a place like Rajasthan, or still under Hindu law, codified, a child marriage is still, a legal marriage, but also a criminal offense at the same time.